There are many scenes in horror movies that linger in the minds of viewers, whether that be Regan spinning her head 180 degrees and vomiting pea soup, or Jack peeking his head through the door and yelling, "Here's Johnny." Many moments have stood the test of time. However, which are the best and which are the craziest? Well, today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 crazy horror movie moments that are iconic. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. In at number 5, we have The Cabin in the Woods Monsters Revealed. What makes The Cabin in the Woods such a fun movie is that it's sort of like a choose your own adventure for a group of teens, except instead of adventure, it's death. Choose your own death. Released in 2011, directed by Drew Goddard, and written by himself and Joss Whedon, The Cabin in the Woods follows a group of college students who head to an isolated cabin in the woods for a getaway. However, things turn grisly when monstrous killers emerge to hunt them down and kill the teens. We learn pretty quickly though that this was all a setup and that an underground organization orchestrated the entire situation, with them needing a blood sacrifice to appease the gods living beneath the earth. Depending on what our characters interact with in the cabin, it triggers a certain monster, hence the choose your own death element of the story. Spoilers ahead for those who haven't watched the movie. 2 of the teens make it inside of the organization and find the technicians, the people who have been orchestrating the events, and they turn their weapons on the creators, setting free the monsters who are caged inside and set them loose, resulting in one hell of a bloodbath. With each ding of the elevator, a new monster emerges, ready to take down the technicians and the armed guards, and no one stands a chance. From a giant snake, to a witch, to a werewolf, a clown, and of course the infamous merman, this scene is truly legendary and I guarantee will be discussed for many years to come. Overall, this film is a damn good time and one I return to each and every year. In at number 4, we have Scanner's Head Explosion. This particular scene has become iconic over the years, with it being the perfect gift to send when you're having the of days. That's what I've learned anyway. Released in 1981 and directed by David Cronenberg, this science fiction Canadian horror movie tells the story of scanners, people with unusual telepathic and telekinetic powers. A company called Consec seeks these scanners out to use them as weapons. However, Daryl Revok isn't having this and he wages a war against the company, with Consec fighting back by dispatching their own weapon. Now this particular scene I'm going to be talking about, I guarantee you have seen, even if you haven't watched the movie. It's become iconic over the years and like I mentioned previously, since being turned into a GIF, you can find this moment everywhere. Anyway, in this particular scene, Daryl shows off to a live audience just how powerful his scanner abilities are by exploding the head of a man next to him. It's horrific, disturbing, gruesome, yet so much fun to watch. Better still, the scene still holds up, with the effects being timeless. It's one of the craziest scenes in any horror movie, but that's what makes it so great. Regardless of whether you like scanners or not, you have to admit this scene was a damn good time. In at number 3, we have A Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy's Long Arms. A Nightmare on Elm Street is still to this day one of the greatest horror movies of all time, with the villain Freddy Krueger being one of the most iconic characters, cementing himself in history as one of the best and scariest antagonists. Released in 1984 and directed by Wes Craven, A Nightmare on Elm Street follows a group of teens in Ohio who become tormented in their dreams by the supernatural Freddy Krueger, a bladed killer who was burned to death by some of the townspeople and is now trapped in a dream world, killing innocents in their dreams. The worst thing though, if Freddy kills you in your dream, you die in real life. Anyway, the movie starts off with a bang, with the character of Tina facing off against the burned villain in her dreams, with him chasing her down an alleyway outside of her home. It's an iconic moment but so damn terrifying as Freddy extends his arms to an absurd length, dragging his knife hand across the garage door and laughing a maniacal laugh. The scene is scary because right from the off it's informing us that Freddy is capable of anything in Dreamworld. No matter what you do, he will always find you and he will kill you. He holds all the power. Spoilers ahead for the odd few who haven't seen the movie, things don't end well for Tina as Freddy kills her, with her boyfriend watching on as her floating body is cut up. It's a disturbing scene with us realizing early on that no one can help you if you're trapped in the dream world with Freddy. All you need to do is wake up, but it's not that easy, with the character of Nancy learning that throughout the rest of the movie. In at 2, we have Pet Sematary, Zelda. Zelda quickly became one of the scariest characters in horror movie history after the release of the 1989 horror movie Pet Sematary. despite only appearing on screen for around 3 minutes. An adaptation of the 1983 Stephen King novel of the same name, Pet Sematary follows the Creed family who move to a new home in the countryside. Everything is peaceful at first until they learn of the creepy cemetery behind their home. On Thanksgiving, while the family is away, their cat is hit by a car on the highway, so they bury the cat, Church, in the pet cemetery, for which it is so aptly named, and as we know, Church returns, but not as the cat they knew and loved. Nope, the cat is different now. Sometime later, the son of the Creed family, Gage, is also struck by a truck and killed. Like Church, he is buried in the cemetery, only to return as a malevolent child who tries to kill his family. The movie is a lot of a lot, with the father making bad decision after bad decision. However, the scariest element of the entire thing is Zelda, the deceased sister of Rachel Creed, the mother. Now, we learn throughout the movie that Zelda suffered from spinal meningitis, which crippled her body and left Rachel with nightmares about her sister. What makes these nightmares even worse is that Zelda doesn't appear as a normal sickly child, but instead she is played by a 20-something man, turning the character into a monster who is plaguing Rachel's dreams and scaring all of us for years to come. As we know, they made a remake of Pet Sematary in 2019, which was trash, with Zelda being not nearly as terrifying, so if you have yet to watch the film, make sure you check out the 1989 version. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have Freaks, One of Us. Freaks is personally one of my favourite classic horror movies of all time, and I haven't had the chance to discuss it yet on this channel, which is a damn shame, but it's happening now and I'm very happy about it. Released in 1932 and directed by Todd Browning, Freaks follows a group of carnival sideshow performers, with one of them, a trapeze artist, plotting a scheme to seduce and murder one of the performers in the troupe, Hans, in order to gain his inheritance. However, the plot leads to some very unfortunate and disturbing consequences. Spoilers ahead for those who haven't watched Freaks. After falling ill, Hans learns of his bride's plan to kill him, so he teams up with the rest of the sideshow performers and gets revenge on his bride in the most disturbing and memorable way possible. The finale of this movie is a doozy and one of the reasons it was banned in the United Kingdom for over 30 years. The performers give Hans' bride a new appearance, combining her with a chicken, forcing her to live the rest of her life as something people pay to look at and laugh at. It's the sweet revenge she so greatly deserved. Now, this movie is genuinely unsettling. It's not necessarily scary, but definitely lingers with you for years to come. It is also responsible for one of the most quoted lines in history: "One of us, one of us, one of us." Not to mention, it is regarded as one of the greatest horror movies of all time, with it having a serious impact on pop culture. Some may or may not know, but American Horror Story Freak Show pays homage to Freaks, with the season being almost identical to the movie, with some added flavour of course. I do suggest to those who haven't seen the movie that you check it out immediately. I actually wrote my university dissertation on this film. Big fan. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with that list? Are there any crazy horror movie moments that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos. Top 5 horror movies that are uncomfortable to watch. Naokuma said no one. Lucy. All they had to do in the first one was swallow each other's poop. I love how calmly she says that. It's true though, after you've seen the second one, the first one seems like a breeze. Swallowing the poop, not bad at all compared to what they go through in the second. It's disgusting. Lock the Fox said, "You had me at misery. That movie is brilliant but horrifying." I couldn't agree more. The first time I saw it, it really messed me up. I couldn't watch that ankle breaking scene. It was horrible. Big John Cabot said, "Lucy, your highness, I stand corrected. I will gladly bend a knee and place my sword at your feet and pledge my servitude to the Queen of Darkness." I don't know how I changed your mind, but thank you. I'm glad you're on your knees. Good. It's where everyone should be. KDS Entertainment said, "No, the person talked about the Hole, with Haley Bennett, that revolves around some teenagers who find a trapdoor in their basement, and yes, this movie was quite good as far as I remember. I'm not familiar with that Hole. I like Haley Bennett though, so I'll have to check it out, but you should all watch the other movie, The Hole. I don't know what year it's from, but I think it's way earlier now that I'm thinking about it, because I watched it in like 2006, so maybe it was 2005, 4? I don't know. You guys can figure it out. Great movie. Maybe it's earlier. 2000? 2001. Keira Knightley. It's got a young Keira Knightley in it. It's great. Lost in the Woods production said, "Lucy, Queen of Horror, might get you to watch our horror short. It's for an excellent cause, the Women in Horror Month Massive Blood Drive." I'll watch it if you send it to me. Just send it to me. Figure it out. But I'll watch it. Piles of Videos of Piles said, "Lucy could be a young Annie Wilkes. Check the pics." I don't think I look like Annie Wilkes. Maybe I act like her? I don't know. You don't know me, so maybe not. Who knows? But there's no pics. I don't think I look like her. Maybe I do. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, see you later.